Okay, so let me ask you all this. So if you're driving outside and it's late at night and you don't use your brights, aren't you training your eyes? You're going really fast around. You're like flying, honey. Men drive. Jesse, why don't say that? Sleeping, pooping, eating. Okay, why? Are you not supposed to say pooping? People can relate. It's commonality. It's something we all share.
Something lasting, something true. Tethered up inside
Middle America. Doo-doo. Middle America. Why is my dashboard so dirty and dusty? All right, let's try this. Let's see if we can do it. All right. Today, we are going by Leavenworth, baby. So if you are familiar with prisons, Leavenworth. I used to always think Leavenworth was like, I always thought it'd be really cool to live here. And it actually is a nice, sweet, cozy town. But what people, when they hear Leavenworth, they think penitentiary. Actually, I'll show y'all. We're going, see if I can get a good picture of it. And get a good, is that it right there? That's it right there, yeah. That is Leavenworth. But Leavenworth is actually a really nice, sweet town. It's a place you'd want to take your kids to. It's got also a very nice Fort Leavenworth. And if you are familiar with the military, I am a military brat, so I grew up going to Fort Leavenworth. I mainly went there to work out, to pump some iron. And I'll actually show you that as well. Here we can see that, so y'all can see that is Fort Leavenworth. Actually, we better be careful because we don't want them, especially, this world, people, there can be high military alerts. So if they see someone, recording videos of the fort, military and all that, they might raise some eyebrows. Because I actually, one time almost got, when we were overseas, we were recording just as tourists, as just having fun, just taking pictures in Sudan, Africa. Apparently in the background was recording the president's house, in palace. And so we got stopped and we almost got shook down, I had a friend who was there with me. We were missionaries with a whole group and a team and all that, but he was unwilling to give up his camera to these guardsmen or whatever. He was like, I ain't giving you my camera. It's like, and everybody was like, I was like, just give him the camera, we didn't know what was going to happen. Who knows? We might have went missing, you never know. But he was just unwilling to do that, and I don't think I had a camera on me, but everybody else was shooting. What do you think? What do you think about life in the world and this situation we find ourselves in? Because the Bible is real life. The Bible is real life. It's the real as it gets, because it is God's reality. It's how he sees the world we live in and how he sees humanity and the dilemma that we find ourselves in on why are we here and where are we going and what's the point? Why are we here? And the Bible reveals that. The Bible shows that. If you actually, I love that quote. C.S. Lewis, he says, I believe in and I've said this quote so many times on my videos, but he says, I believe in the Bible. No, he says, I believe in Christianity in the same way that I believe in the sun. Not only because I see it, but because of it, I see everything else. And that's what the Bible does. It gives you an understanding of who God is. It gives you an understanding of our condition and who we are. But it makes sense of everything. It makes sense of everything. It shows you, if you want an insight into the reality that we are in, that we are thrust in, go to the Bible. Having a biblical lens and worldview, that's the only way you're going to be able to do it, Today on Morning Coffee and Bible, we are talking about just why are we here? Why are we here? What's the point? Is there really a point to this? Because you really think that we live on a loop. We live on a loop. What are the days of the week? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Repeat. Go to bed. Get up. Go to bed. Get up. Go to bed. Get up. I get tired. I'm alert. I'm awake. I gotta eat. I gotta poop. People do poop. Everyone poops. Okay, Jessie said please stop. She said please stop. Okay. But that is a real thing. I'm gonna spill the beans. I'm gonna make a book, and I'm gonna trademark it right after I say it, but it's gonna be called Sleeping, Pooping, Eating. That'll be the name of my book. Sleeping, Pooping, Eating. Okay, why? Are you not supposed to say pooping? What do you mean? Everybody talks about it. Like, on any other podcast, people talk about that, you know? It's like, I don't think I'm not going to get banned for that. If people, or if they're here, they're ready for the real, raw, and dirty. You know, we keep it clean, but we also keep it dirty. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Jesse, why? Don't say that. Don't say that.
Never want to talk about that in real life, and now you're saying it.
She says, I never want to talk about that in real life.
Yeah, you're like, oh no.
What do you mean? What are you talking about? I guess like, people can relate. It's commonality. It's something we all share. Why? You don't like it? What? It's you know, the disciples. They you trying to change the subject? The disciples, and when people studied the Old Testament, they studied, like, you know, the oral law and the oral traditions. They talked potty talk. There's like in Jewish history, there is a thing called potty talk, and when Jesus even brings up, Mark 7. It says, Mark 7, after he had left the crowd and entered the house, his disciples asked him about this parable. I should probably actually read what the parable said, but okay, actually, let me back up a bit. This is Mark 7:14. Jesus talking primarily to the Pharisees and people that are arguing with him, the people that knew the law and were arguing with him about the word of God. And they said, and Jesus says to them, he says, and Jesus called the crowd to him and said, listen to me, everyone, and understand this. Nothing outside a person can defile them by going into them. Rather, it is what comes out of a person that defiles them. After he had left the crowd and entered the house, his disciples asked him about this parable. And this is Jesus speaking. Are you so dull? He asked. Don't you see that nothing that enters a person from the outside can defile them? For it is going into their heart, for it doesn't go into their heart, but into their stomach, and then out of the body. In saying this, Jesus declared all foods clean. I disagree with that translation of it when it says, in saying this, Jesus declared all foods clean. Actually, the literal translation of it, that's reading from the NIV, which is a paraphrase of it, but it says, in doing this, or in saying this, it's more like, it says, that's like, kind of like a parenthesis of what it says, but it says, thus purging all meats. That's kind of literal translation of it. Thus purging all meats. It's potty talk. Jesus is talking. He's talking like, this is like a thing like the rabbis, they had literal discussions about like people going to the bathroom and ways you actually go to the bathroom and all that, and what went into that. But Jesus isn't there saying bacon and all that is on the table for Jews. He's not on there saying that the Old Testament law about the dietary laws is done away with, you know. And this really messed me up early on, because I thought everybody had to stop eating whatever, start eating kosher. But really, it's specifically for Jews. That law is still binding on Jews. They are the covenant people. Gentiles are not under the old covenant law in that sense. You know, there is a distinction between Jews and Gentiles, but what that literal translation is, thus purging all meats. It's not saying, he's saying that the food you eat goes in your tummy and then goes out your body. They have like it's kind of that thing where Ezekiel in the Old Testament, where he's like, I've never eaten anything unclean, and he's scared to cook his food over his own waste, his own dung, and then God says, okay, you can use an animal's manure or something like that. But they were very careful about what they eat on every like little thing like that, you know. But I actually would be nice to actually pull up the whole the literal words and what it says. But like, I just know that I knew right when I was like pulling it up, because I have the NIV pulled up, and it's more of a thought for thought understanding of it. But that is just whenever the NIV translates it that way, it's coming from their understanding and their interpretation. But it's not, it's kind of reading into the text something that isn't there. It's not saying that. Because in that context, Jesus is not talking about unclean and clean animals. He's talking about bread. He's talking about the disciples not eating their bread without washing their hands and going through the whole rituals and all that. But if you get down to like the actual, and even in that translation, it puts it in parentheses that from the NIV. But we went to potty talk. You know, there's potty talk and everything. Dirty potty talk. But really, so the Jews, they had the Mishnah and the Talmud. That's all. They have all these oral laws that kind of got put together and written down. But a lot of them, they weren't written down at that time. They were more just an oral tradition. And it wasn't until years later, hitting a lot of bumps. It wasn't until years later that all of it was kind of codified and put together into written word format. And they kind of, they understood, the Jews understood that the word of God, the law, was God's word. But the Jews were given the responsibility of how do we actually carry out and live out the law? How do we make sense of these commandments, and how do we actually put them into practice? So they developed all these oral traditions on how do we actually carry it out and live it out, kind of thing. But so they talked about potty talk, they there are things out there that they have in their writings of specifically about that kind of stuff, and I don't have it in front of me, This is not a scholarly channel. These aren't, I don't have footnotes that I'm going to be divulging, Maybe there will be a point when I do that, But this is more just regular people talk. How do we understand the Bible? How do we you're going off the road, Jesse. I shouldn't say this, but I'll say it. I'm not going to say it. Okay. I won't even.
I've said it a million times.
What? I've never said you're a terrible driver. You're actually a really good driver. It's just, I will say this, and you all can read into it whatever you want.
You're a control freak?
No. I think guys are good drivers. Guys are good drivers.
Say what you mean.
What do you mean? I think guys are good drivers.
But meaning better than girls.
I didn't say anything. You can read whatever you want into that. I think men are good drivers. Men are good drivers. Not always, of course. And that might seem terrible. I might be a terrible person even thinking that, but I'm a sinful person. I'm a sinner. I think wrong in a lot of ways, but it's my viewpoint, but we love everyone. I do get if I'm not driving, I'm not
Thriving.
She says I'm not thriving, but I do feel very uncomfortable, queasy at times if I'm not driving, but
Well, so do I. You don't use your brights.
Wait.
You don't see the deer.
But do you feel comfortable if I'm driving?
You're using your brights.
Okay, so let me ask you all this. So if you're driving outside and it's late at night and you don't use your brights, aren't you training your eyes? You're going really fast around. Right? You're flying, honey. Go slow down. Just go slow. Go slow. We're not in a hurry. I think men drive, and that's kind of common knowledge, Real men drive, and I know I'm not driving right now, whatever. It's because I'm doing this video, and I just thought it'd be better if I'm actually just riding instead. But what was I gonna say?
Brights.
Oh yeah, she said. Oh yeah, about brights. So say it's late at night, and you are you're out there driving. You're driving are your eyes getting strengthened if you don't use your brights? I feel like I develop almost a cat-like reflex, and my eyes are trained for war if I'm not using my brights. I have to be more in suspense when I can only see so far in front of me. If I can't, if you see everything, it's you become lazy, You just accept the world that's presented to you, and you don't become stronger in what you're capable of. You don't know what you're capable of, People out there, you've heard about women, their kids are trapped under a car and they just get this superhuman strength to lift something. When we just weaken ourselves, we allow ourselves to become weak, we're not going to be as strong as we could be, What do you say to that?
Doesn't make any sense.
What? That made a lot of sense. You, just like glasses, if you wear glasses, people wear glasses, but if you don't need them, the lens that you're on, your eyes are going to become more, I need that stronger lens when you might not need it, Or is she's saying that's not correct? She's saying that's not correct. That might not be correct. I'm not a doctor.
If your eyes are bad, you need glasses. If it's dark, you need the brights. Otherwise, you see 2 feet in front of you, and these deer are always out, and they're going to get you.
She's probably right.
I am right.
I stand corrected a lot of times. Sometimes I stand corrected. I get it.
Use your brights because you need them. Wear glasses because you need them.
I get it.
Strengthen your muscles. You don't need to strain your eyes to make them stronger.
I know. I use my brights at times. I do. Yeah. But what do you all think? I have definitely, I think I've become soft in a lot of ways, leaning on my brights, you know, and I think she's got my ear. She's got my ear. I am very easily swayed. Do you all think you should use your brights? Maybe.
That's why they're there.
That's why they're there.
Protecting your family.
I think when I was a younger cat, I was just like getting by, you know, living on the edge, you know. But Errol, so well, anything else you want to say? We talked a lot of stuff today. Talked a lot of mess. Talked a lot of. Hey, I want to say thank you all for anyone and everyone that watches these videos, that checks in and is a part of our lives, that we're able to be a part of yours. We love that. We're starting to develop more and more stuff that we're going to be able to connect closer to you. So just get ready for that. And so, anything else you want to say, Jesse? So, and if you all if you want to have a good time, check out this video. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Your support means the world to me, and it helps keep the content coming. Until next time, stay blessed and keep shining.